Welcome to the Leo Training Podcast with Joe DeLeo. You'll hear in-depth interviews and tips from world-class athletes, coaches, and industry-leading experts to help you train smarter and improve at what you love to do. Train smarter, get stronger, move better, race faster. Here's your host, Joe DeLeo.
We're back with episode 93 of the Leo Training Podcast. My guests this week are both firefighters at the Albuquerque, New Mexico Fire Department, as well as both being STRONGFIRST instructors. Charles Bustos is a husband, father of two boys, and firefighter paramedic at the Albuquerque Fire Department. Charles served 6 years of active duty service in the Air Force. He was stationed at Beale Air Force Base in Northern California. He has worked in aerospace physiology and received specialty training in hyperbaric chambers and high-altitude pressure suits. Charles deployed to many overseas locations such as Sicily, Saudi Arabia, Korea, France, Cyprus, and the United Arab Emirates in support of the U-2 reconnaissance plane. He was honorably discharged as a staff sergeant and then served 4 years at Kirtland Air Force Base in the Air Force Reserve Aeromedical Unit. Charles is a co-owner of FIREBELLZ, certified by Dr. Eric Cobb as a Z Health Performance Movement Coach, as well as certified by Pavel Satsulin as a STRONGFIRST Level 2 instructor that has been invited back to assist and instruct at multiple certification courses. Charles was introduced to kettlebells by my second guest, Zar Horton. Zar Horton is the founder of FIREBELLZ and is a 28-year veteran of the Albuquerque Fire Department, currently serving as Battalion Chief. He has been training others in the use of kettlebells since 2004. For the last 13 years, he has been devoted to bringing safe, functional strength training and fitness, along with greater quality of life and longevity, to fire service, law enforcement, and our military members. He currently holds the position of Master Kettlebell Instructor with STRONGFIRST. He is instructed across the United States and internationally. Charles and Zar offer their insight and experience as both career firefighters and STRONGFIRST instructors to share what they feel are the best training protocols for various tactical operatives in law enforcement, military, and firefighting. This makes up the majority of our conversation. So without further ado, let's roll to episode 93. I am live with Charles Bustos and Zar Horton, lead instructors from FIREBELLZ in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Guys, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come on.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Very much looking forward to this. So, let's just get right into it. I would love for you both to take a couple minutes and introduce yourselves. We'll start with Charles, and you can talk about, kind of your background into strength and conditioning, and then also your professional experience as a firefighter, and then we'll turn it over to Zar.
Okay. I started out as more of a bodybuilder type of lifting. I joined the military, got into bodybuilding kind of and powerlifting. Focused on that, just gained weight, got size, and that was my focus. Just getting bigger, looking bigger, not necessarily functional. But once I got out of the military, that's when I moved back to Albuquerque, and I wanted to join the fire department. And then that's when I met Zar, and he introduced me to the kettlebell. Kind of a humbling experience, I would say.
Very cool.
From my size and everything. And then so it grew from there, our meeting in the fire academy.
Excellent. So Charles, just for context purposes for the audience, what year was that you two met and that kind of started?
I met Zar in 2004 when I went through the Albuquerque Fire Academy.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, Zar, you're up.
All right. Okay, so I've been involved in some form of fitness pretty much my whole life. A lot of sports and activities when I was a young guy. My granddad was a shot put and discus guy in college, so he got me a bench when I was 11 years old. So I that started my whole pursuit. But fast forwarding, I used a bodybuilder model of gaining strength and size through my entire life until I met Pavel, and I was already well into my fire career. Changed the way I thought about fitness, shifted the way I looked at it, and as I was aging, I also knew that my needs needed to change and my abilities were changing. And so the things that he introduced me to were not only changed the way I looked at my fitness and my approach, but it was life changing. That meeting with him and the years since then. I've been in the fire service. 9th anniversary, so I've been in fire for quite some time.
Zar, could you say that again? The connection cut out there, so we missed how many years you had said.
29.
Wow.
29 years. I got in 1989. So I was also when I did meet Charles, that was in a part of my career where I was assigned to the fire academy as an instructor, and I had some other duties, but I was entrusted to change because I had made such discoveries and had that change in my paradigm shift with the approach and the needs of firefighters and tactical athletes. I was entrusted to change the curriculum of the fire cadets physical fitness training agenda. So that was a great challenge, but it led to me becoming a kettlebell instructor under Pavel Satsulin, which kind of just my original intention was just to educate firefighters and take the kettlebell training into the fire service. However, after meeting our other business partner and Charles with his wild, he's the horsepower behind motivation of FIREBELLZ, this place has taken off and grown. So we have this big studio where we have the opportunity to educate and teach a lot of people and change a lot of lives.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, congratulations to both of you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So Zar, so you've been in for 29 years. Charles, how many years have you been in? Obviously, you had your military background first, but how many years in the firefighting service at this point?
I've been in the department for 13 years.
Excellent. So both of you have, kind of a wealth of experience on the job. So you have a very good sense of, kind of the day-to-day demands, and it's an occupation that requires the individual to be in good, shape, fitness-wise, strong, good cardiovascular shape. So taking that, how has that kind of influenced the programming and, the training, whether it's in a class format or one-on-one at FIREBELLZ?
Well, the demands of the fire ground are numerous. I'll cover some, and then Charles can cover some. But, the fire ground operations consist of a lot of heavy lifting, odd loads for a long periods of time, undetermined amounts of time, so that it's for your work capacity and stamina need to be, on point. Again, climbing with gear, dragging hoses, crawling a lot of times on air, which is a finite amount of working time that you have to get a heavy workload done. And it's a lot of demand in just the clothing, being in the clothing. And when you get everything wet, it becomes slippery and heavy. And that's just on the fire side of things. And then we have, other duties.
Right. So just again, context, how much does the firefighter suit or the equipment, is there a ballpark estimate in terms of total pounds?
We're close to about 75, 80 pounds, depending on how big the person is with their gear and everything. But with the SCBA and your bunker gear on, that's your minimum. Charles is like 100 because he has extra. So bars. Then we start throwing on some extra equipment. We start throwing on the big lights. We start throwing on the irons, and we start having hammers and other tools that we need. And it adds up fast. Or if we have to carry more hose, we got to start throwing that over whatever equipment we need to take.
Wow. And then on top of that, God forbid, if you have to rescue somebody, you might be carrying that person on top of the 70 to 100 pounds that you're wearing.
Exactly. Yeah, they're in their 70, 80 pounds of gear
plus their body weight. Yeah, it's a lot of unbalanced and non-ideal conditions and positions to be lifting out. So core strength, stability, and joint mobility are also huge factors for us for the longevity and sustainability of a firefighter in his career.
Wow. So Charles, you had some stuff to add there too. I just wanted to get a sense of the weight of the suit.
No, that's it. It's very demanding, and like he said, there's no ideal situation, and you don't know what's coming up. Right. It can be upstairs, downstairs. You have to be on the ground. You have to go around. You can't see anything. So it's just very unpredictable.
So let me ask you this: before we get into the programming side, how do you balance the ability to get in training in the gym, but also you guys have to be, for your job, you have to be fresh, you have to be recovered, because that's the priority. As much fun as we like to have, in the gym and kind of hit those benchmarks and PRs and that type of thing, you could be very much dealing with a life or death situation. So you can't be sort of showing up at the firehouse with heavy legs and not fresh, ready to be able to respond. So how do you balance that?
So myself, and this is where we start incorporating this with our training, and for our clients or any of the people that even have those type of jobs, we have to teach them to listen to their body. That's the first thing. Not everything's going to feel right. You can't just write out a program for the month and know Monday's chest day, Tuesday's back, Wednesday's leg. You can't follow that. Not everything's going to feel good on that day. You don't know what you're going to have to do to perform. So we have to train the body as a whole so it can perform, but it can also recover. And the same thing, people will see me training almost on a daily basis, and they'll ask me, how many times do you train? And I say 6-7 days a week. And it just blows their mind, because I consider that training as not everything's going to be heavy. Right. Some days I need volume work. Some days I need just correctives. Some days I need just mobility. I'm still training my body. Mm-hmm. But people lose that concept and they think they need to go all out every day. But if I do all these little things, I'm able to perform better on those heavy days.
I'd say Charles has the best well-rounded approach to training. If somebody's going to train seven days a week, six sessions, like you'll see him killing it on a couple of heavy days, but you'll also see him. This is the one guy that I'll say takes the time to do his mobility work, his corrective work. Like he really does listen to his body. And as a result, all the years I've been watching him train, he has very few injuries or limitations. He's actually increased his mobility. Anyone I've ever honestly could barely. Like he was a typical power bodybuilder, powerlifter bodybuilder when I met him. Like he had really limited movement, flexibility, mobility, and now this guy it's incredible, his mobility now. So it's been a cool transformation to watch, and this is a guy who really pays attention to his training. Awesome,
very cool to hear. So for you two, especially with all the experience that you both have, I imagine that you kind of really take sort of a day-to-day approach, like really, get a baseline of how you're feeling, and that's going to kind of determine what you're doing on the day. So if you're feeling good, then that might be the day you're going heavy. But if you're like, achy, tired, sore, you're taking it pretty easy.
Yeah, and that's what Charles was saying. Listen to your body. If you come off shift and you're dragging because it was a rough shift, that may be your active recovery day or a day off. We should take that time off to ourselves. Rest and recovery. He's also excellent at watching his nutrition, fluid intake, all those little things. He does all the little things. He's the one guy I can say, like, watch, and he does all the little things right. Like hydration, nutrition, those are all part of recovery. So the recovery process is huge, but also, like, again, listening to your body. Which day is going to be what for you? In our particular schedule, we work a 48-hour duty cycle, and then we have 96 hours off. So in those 4 days, the 96 off, we got to get some good recovery, but we've also got to get some good training, because always, many times at the fire station, it's not you can't plan to train there ideally. You might get a little something in, but if it's a busy cycle, you're going to miss your training. So within our 4 days, you got to get some recovery and get your rest back and let your body recover from the work, and then do your physical work and do what you need to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you go into a little bit more detail about the shift schedule? So you said 48 hours on and then 96 off. So
96 off. Yeah, so that's a 2-day on, 4-day off schedule, and it's a 6-day rotation, and it's ongoing.
Wow. So how does that, I mean, that 48 hours, you might not be able to get any type of training in just because of, if you're busy or called to action type of thing. But, is there situations where you guys have been up for, 18 or 24 hours or more?
Oh yeah. He and I both work at extremely busy stations. He's worked at we work on in our city, the Central Corridor. Done many shifts and many years there between the two of us, and it can be a rough part of town to work, and especially on those 48s on the weekends or when there's a cyclical activity in the people and population there. So there's a lot of times where 18, 24 hours is not uncommon to be awake for.
Wow.
And then needing to function at a high level so not only for rest and recovery and your physical pursuits, but also for your job performance. Because right now he's serving as a paramedic. He's the officer on his unit, so he's got to do drug calculations, be able to give perfect patient care, be kind to the citizens, and all these things that when you're sleep deprived don't come so easily. So it's a skill that he manages, but also we have to get rest when we can. All those little things become maybe the thing that gets you over and performing your job successfully.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. And then on top of it, you both own FIREBELLZ. On top of it. Wow. I don't know how you two swing that. That's insane. So
you've been told that.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's very impressive. So let's kind of get down in the weeds a little bit and talk about the programming and strength and conditioning, or any specific skills or lifts you feel have particular value or applicability to the occupation of being a firefighter or other tactical operatives.
Okay. So the kettlebell, when it was introduced to me, actually was through the fitness coordinator for the DOE that trained the nuclear transport courier team, similar to a SWAT unit. And then I learned that the United States Secret Service had adopted the kettlebell training, and several units at the time over there in the desert when we were doing when they were doing their deployments over there. The kettlebell was being used heavily by our military, Secret Service, and our tactical units here. So that being said, all tactical athletes, I thought that because of the demands of our job in fire service were similar. Just very physical. And that was when the term functional training back then was just coming into vogue. And so people were, the early adopters were looking at these new techniques for more real world carryover into jobs like the ones we have. And so there's a lot of early experimentation, trial and error, and I apologize to all the cadet classes who had to serve as those guinea pigs. Charles was one of them. But we were able to, and then it was nice when Charles came out, and he through a couple of years he became an avid kettlebell user and student, and the guy's just always like pursuing knowledge. So he became part of the team, then became a part owner with us, and so what's nice is we were able to take these different systems and really our cornerstone is good movement. And we want proper movement, good movement before we progressively load it to get the person stronger, because we know that if you're moving out of alignment and you start loading it, you're just speeding your time to injury. And so that is the cornerstone that we operate from. So whatever mode we're using, whether it's body weight, kettlebells, barbells, or any of the other implements, we have like a lot of the cross-training type of implements, such as ropes and sleds and all those things. We want proper movement patterns before we load them up. So that's how we approach our whole system, whether it's a tactical athlete in any of the services that we've mentioned, or if it's just our general population coming through the doors.
Excellent. So Charles, once we've established kind of proper movement good, solid foundation with fundamental movement patterns. What skills or lifts is there any that you feel have particular value or that you like to emphasize in the curriculum at FIREBELLZ?
Whew, this guy. I'll say everything, but we have to look at. My first thing is to see what people do on a daily basis, and people are on their computer, they're on their phones, they're sitting down. Mm-hmm. So, and on top of that, people aren't as mobile as they should be, so they're already tight. So our first thing, especially even our warm-up, is, I'm very proud of that. It's a long, thorough, dynamic joint mobility warm-up. And we need to get the shoulders moving, thoracic, hips, ankles, knees. And and that as well as our assessment for how the training is going to go for the class, as well as to see how well. So we're trying to watch how well they move or what we need to adjust with the movements. So we may need to open up things a little bit more, or we may have to leave that alone completely, depending on how well they're moving.
Yeah. And we may have a game plan for a class that day, and based on what we see during warm up, we may have to abandon it completely, and that's where, I guess some time and experience gives you the skill to do that.
Right. Yeah. So you really kind of empower the rest of the staff, during that assessment period at the beginning of the class, the warm up. That's their time to kind of, get a visual of how everybody's moving, and it's like, okay, everybody's a little sluggish today. We need to spend a little bit more time to get going, or today they're looking pretty sharp. We can get right into doing some work.
Exactly. Yes, we have a general template of what we want them to do for how the class should flow. But that's one thing. We're very proud of the instructors that we have. They're all very knowledgeable. Once they're certified, they still have to go through a very intense intern program with us.
Oh, excellent.
So they're having to ease through and show, and they have to demonstrate certain things to Zar, demonstrate certain things for me. I'm over their shoulder from them doing their warm-ups, their cool-downs. I'm quizzing them on certain things, on movements. I'm walking around with them. What do you see here? How are you going to correct that? What's the biggest issue with this here? So they have to prove quite a bit before they actually get released on their own.
That's fantastic. So how long would the intern program typically last?
On average, it's going to be close to 2 to 3 months, and it depends on how aggressive that student is. Right. If they're on it and they're attending more classes, or they're showing, or they're assisting with more classes, and they can demonstrate and show that knowledge base that we need, they'll move along and hit all of those numbers a lot faster than someone that. Yeah. And we have a lot of professionals as well. We have lawyers and doctors and we have physical therapists that are instructors here, that they had to still go through the same thing and challenge the same way.
That's fantastic. So I'm curious. So that type of culture that you have created at FIREBELLZ, how has that kind of spilled over to the members or the students in the classes in terms of, how they approach, the environment, the training environment?
I think because we've shown them how meticulous we are and how picky we are about form, they will ask us, hey, can you look at my swing? Hey, can you look at this? Something's wrong with my shoulder. So I think they've become very aware of their bodies and their movement conscious in pursuing the perfection of movement. And so they're very aware of that. They also want to, we've also fostered a good culture of support. And so we have, groups within our group that are supportive, and will take people under their wings and just kind of foster along the students that are new. And it's a pretty nice thing to watch. And even our new students, after maybe they do our 12-week body transformation program, will have a new appreciation for movement, for nutrition, for the whole lifestyle change. It's a really cool thing to watch people go from like coming in either, I like watching new people who have never done anything go through this whole transformation. Then all of a sudden they're talking to us about their nutrition or their movement or their whatever's on their plate. It may be, some sticky movement, sticky shoulders, or a tricky knee. that they've encountered, but they're aware of it and they want to address it rather than just blow through it and just continue on and get hurt. So we have I think fostered a culture of students who are aware and who will question, and who also, if something's maybe outside of the template, they will bring it up with us and they're like, hey, what about so and so? So it's nice to have that. We have like a 360 by 360 approach. It's pretty neat.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Charles, you got anything to add to that?
No, it is. That's like you said. I'm support. It's amazing of how encouraging everyone is to each other. They come in, they have busy days. They're all professionals. They're all successful in what they do, but they come in and it's time to go to work.
Right. And
everyone's struggling together, but they're supporting each other. We can do this. Let's do that. And they challenge each other and push each other. And that's one thing that has made this so rewarding for me. And that's one thing I'll talk about in one of my other workshops and stuff of how we cope, and how you said like how hard it is of all the things we do. We're parents, and we have the job, and we have FIREBELLZ. We have our schedule's unreal. I wouldn't want anyone to maintain this themselves. But what makes it rewarding for me is all of the bad things I see in the department of bad calls, traumas, deaths, any injuries. There's medical things that happen that we can't change. Some people don't want to make a change. So all of those things that we have to deal with, all of those stress, all of those traumas, accidents that are in our head, now I get to actually make big differences and help a lot of people, change a lot of lives. So that gives me something to know I can make a difference even more.
Yeah, that's very rewarding.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes, indeed.
Very cool. Anything else to add on curriculum, specific skills or lifts that you feel have applicability to firefighters, or anything kind of about FIREBELLZ in general at the facility?
If I was going to talk to an entry-level firefighter about things that might carry over just in the kettlebell specifically, I'd master the hinge, the deadlift, the swing, and the get up for starters. I think that there are some other lifts that are beneficial, but I think a farmer carry addresses the stability, just some good core stability, some grip strength and grip endurance, which is essential. The swing, just an overall, has carryover into everything as far as performance, mobility, dynamic performance, and then the get up, which is a multi-position stabilizing and strengthener that is oftentimes overlooked or undervalued. So that's what I would say if I had to give just a handful of things to someone. I know Charles explores other avenues of things, and so he may have a different handful that he likes, but I think for me, I like the swing, the get up, and farmer walks, farmer carries.
Cool.
Yeah, with even or odd loads. So that's what
Excellent.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a solid base. I think everyone should own those movements. And then once we have those, then we can just add to that. Those are going to keep getting stronger, and then we'll just add in there. But that's a solid base. I agree 100%.
That's right. Wider the base, the higher the peak.
Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Awesome. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit. So I was curious to kind of get both of your thoughts on the McGill Pensacola study that they did in conjunction with Exos, formerly Athletes Performance, looking at the occupational demands of firefighters. So I was curious if you've had a chance to look at that, and then if so, just kind of what your thoughts were in the information they gleaned from that.
Well, I think it was a worthwhile study, and I think that it definitely puts firefighters, it's being acknowledged as a dangerous job, and fitness, obviously showing fitness and addressing fitness will add to longevity and durability of a firefighter. And so this is done, recently, but my original programming and thoughts on this, and in addition to Charles when he came on board, we innately knew that this job breaks down your body, and the only way back from injury or prehab, what they call prehab, injury prevention, is a solid exercise regimen that addresses the needs of the fire ground, the recovery of the firefighter, but it has to be effective, it has to be safe, it has to have big payoff, it has to be sustainable. And like you said, you can't walk into the fire station after a heavy leg day, and then if you have a fire. So sensible training that is low risk, high payoff was kind of the way I thought about things. We needed to address movement, mobility, stability, strength, stamina, and work capacity. So that's the avenue I came from long ago. Now, again, this is a worthwhile study, and it's nice because it puts it out there for other departments that are developing fitness programs or need some validity to say, hey, we need funding, we need an exercise or some type of fitness program, because there's a lot of departments that are behind the curve on this. We actually had, at the time of when I got entrusted with changing all that, we had a very progressive chief, and he gave us the latitude and the freedom to create, and we adopted something on a national level. There's a national program out there that if you use this particular testing method, you have to have a fitness program in place. So that was great that we adopted that. And that was back in, again, like 03, 04, that we got that on board. So ever since then, and now we're at a point in our department where we have what we call peer fitness trainers. Mm-hmm. And it was a long time. I mean, we were hacking away at that in 04, knowing, the things that this study has shown. We knew that a long time ago. And I was at a point in my career where the bodybuilding model wasn't cutting it anymore, because it was just for strength and size. And the only way we knew to get stronger was to get bigger. And with this type of training model that we use now, we know that we can get stronger without adding so much size. And that addresses a lot of needs of people and a lot of desires of people that don't want to get big and muscular, but they want to get strong. Strength is important for longevity and durability. And so that was the approach. And my biggest thing was that after a X amount of years on a career that breaks your body down, you want to walk out so you can go enjoy your retirement. You put in all these years for the community and for people, which is extremely rewarding. But now it's your time when you retire to pursue something else or to just enjoy yourself. And I wanted these firefighters to have a nice, lengthy retirement, because when I came into the department, the average lifespan of a retired firefighter was 10 years.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we've come a long way. But I mean, wow. When I came in, they were still trying to convince people to go into fires on the self-contained breathing apparatus. It was still in transition. There were a lot of things in transition from the old school firefighting to the new generation. Now I believe, it's instituted now, and now again, this study will help smaller departments say, here's some evidence that says we have to have this. We need this in place. So that's what I think it's good for. But our department was progressive, and our chief trusted me, and we luckily went on the right track. So I think, yes, it's a very important study, but it didn't impact, it didn't impact how I programmed, however, and how we program here for our people and our tactical athletes. But it's just, I think that we took the job needs and put it all into a nice, full, holistic kind of approach to the way we program here. And also, Charles, he mentioned that he does a workshop, but he has these workshops where he talks to people about the things that nobody talks about life schedule and support systems and all those other things that you need to be successful. So that's another avenue of thinking that we address here.
Excellent.
So.
Sure.
No, I like the study. I'm like you said, I'm all for the awareness and what it's doing to bring more out and realize and hoping that this brings more studies into play and they go more in depth. I would like to see video of some of the training or breaking down more in depth what was being programmed. It was kind of vague in that aspect. It touched on some of the stuff, but that's just me. I'm just always, I want to try to see what's there.
That's proof.
I want to see what spin I can put on it and be like, or am I doing that, or how can I change it? How can I make it better? But I'm all for it. That's great that they're finally doing that.
Excellent. And you both had mentioned, so do you want to talk about the workshop that you do as well?
We do a series of workshops. That's one of them. Charles does a bunch of things for breaking down nutrition to people who are just kind of coming into this new lifestyle of fitness. We do workshops that take people to the next level with kettlebell, barbell training, mobility, fitness assessment. We're just trying to. A lot of people that we get here have never been in the fitness culture at all, so they're not aware of all of these things. Or they've been so focused on just getting the skills down that they have, lost some, they get really like tunnel vision. So we want to expand their vision and the way they think about things. So we want to address, we have a mobility, we have stretching, we have fitness or movement assessment, we have a lifestyle change in nutrition, how to think of nutrition. And he goes from like big picture, the macros down to the micros, and he educates them on all that stuff. So it's I think a well-rounded approach to. We have about, I'd say, probably 6 to 8 different workshops that we do, and not including. We also do workshops on probably 2 to 3 times a year for our instructors. Continuing education. We look at we do an assessment of their technique, and we give them some new things that are that they can use for teaching. So
awesome, fantastic. So kind of building off of that, all the different workshops that you offer. In addition to some of the strength and conditioning tools that you mentioned, you also implement Z Health, ground force method, and FMS. So, kind of stepping back, how do you balance kind of all these different modalities and these different systems kind of under one roof? How they influence you, and how do you integrate that into the curriculum?
That's the adaptability of the instructor as well. The knowledge base. Some will feel more comfortable and have more of a Z Health knowledge. Some will have more knowledge in any other aspects, even barbell work. But we have to see, and that's where we assess our class and see what we can incorporate. We may have to do more correctives. We may have to do more Z Health movement types of stuff. We can add in even visual stuff. Mm-hmm. That may be challenging enough. We have classes that are focused more on that, more on correctives, and we can activate with a lot of ground force stuff, or we can just continue adding that in throughout to just, reset between all of the power moves between the kettlebells or the barbells. Excellent. And so, yeah, that's what makes it so amazing, is that you come in, you never know what you're going to get. You're not going to do the same class twice.
Yeah, so definitely the general population loves that because they like variety.
Right, they do. Yeah. But what we never tell them is that we're doing the basics all the time. And we change it around enough to where it doesn't. It's the same soup in a different bowl. Yeah. But It really is. I mean, the basics are where it's at. That's what makes people, the separates the great from the mediocre is the people who are good at the basics. So we take the basics and we go with it. But there's a lot of, variety that addresses getting good at the basics. There are enough drills that enhance. As Charles was saying, we can do active recovery drills, or we can do drills that make them better at the base skill that we're addressing that day. So, within the basic soup, we have a lot of ingredients we can throw in to make it different. And all the different instructors that we have, they come from various backgrounds and different, the way they approach their training, they might throw that flavor in for the day and, or something they've discovered, and they'll integrate it and do a test run on it, run it by us. And we say we're good to go with it. And they'll throw it in there. But again, it's always about the basics and our core where we come from as far as our basic philosophy of better movement before we do anything else.
Once all of those other modalities, we're using that as a way to integrate those basics and make them stronger, make them even more fluid. So we want them to be able to feel it, know where it's working.
Right. I love it.
Go through motions.
Right. Yeah, so that gives you just kind of one more thing you could reach into the toolbox. And
exactly, that's what we want. It activates it a whole different way that all of a sudden they're like, wow, now that feels so much better. Great.
And that's how, we want to empower students. Our other, philosophy is that if you never, train with us again after learning the basics, is that you go off and you can train on your own and you'll be safe and successful. Right. Safety is a big concern with us. So we want, every class is usually very exciting and dynamic, but it's always safe. It's challenging, but it's safe. And they know that, so that's the trust that we've built with our community, is that they trust us that they're in good hands for the session that they're here, and they'll let us do what we need to do.
Awesome. Okay. Can you guys talk about the wristbands that you have at FIREBELLZ? First off, how did you come up with the idea for the wristbands? And then can you talk about the different levels and how individuals can progress?
Yeah, I think it was Charles's idea, and I'll let him talk about how it was based and everything. It's a really cool thing. But I think every time we're in an airport or somewhere out to lunch, he has this idea, and it took out. No, I'm serious, man. It's like our cornerstone project. So some of the biggest things here were like an idea in an airport or at lunch one day, or just in passing. Hey, what about so and so? Yeah, let's go. And the belt and the rank system is one of those. So I'll let Charles talk to you about it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's modeled after martial arts system, and the same thing of that quality movement. You're having to demonstrate that. You're going to have to show the katas. You're going to have to show all of your skills and make sure that you're efficient with it. Mm-hmm. So that's the same thing. We want people to be able to demonstrate that they're safe and effective with those movements. So we start off. Someone can't even just come into a class. So we have what's called a spark, and that's our introduction class. And that's where we use that as an assessment, as well as teach those solid foundation movements.
Awesome. So
once they have that, our goal is to, within four spark classes, 4 or less, they should be able to demonstrate safe and effective movement patterns of those, and be able to they'll get a purple band.
Okay.
Once they show us that they can perform them, they're not having to be cued over and over again or corrected, then they're eligible to go into the all levels class.
Nice.
And then it'll progress from there. Then our next band is orange. Then they show those skills again, plus the additional skills, and then they move up another band. Same thing. Again, they think they're ready. We have a list of names on the wall under all the ranks, under the color, and then we have a frame with all the movements listed. So they can see on a daily basis, okay, what's here? What do I need to work on? And that's what we're encouraging. Our goal is to get someone to green. So we go purple, orange, green. And once they've got to that point, we have another incentive where they get open gym access.
Oh, wow.
So
they've got to earn it. They got to earn it.
Exactly. They've proven that they've been with us for a certain amount of time to where they can get up to those level, that skill. And so we encourage them to come in on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they can train on their own. They can get extra work after the class. Mm-hmm. They can work on the skills for the next rank. It just gives them more options, especially if they miss a class.
Yeah.
They don't have to come in after, get a workout in.
I love that.
But yeah, it's going to go from purple, orange, green. We're going to go to blue, red, brown, and black.
Wow.
So that's a progression. And then so our purple rank is the deadlift, 1 arm, 2 arm, the swing, 1 arm, 2 arm, high pull catch. They have to demonstrate the goblet squat, a row, a plank, ball of foot squat, and the bridge. And those are the movements that are tested, that we're not going to cue anymore. They have to be able to perform that. And then we also go through some other movements that are taught but are not tested. And we'll go through the rope slam, the sled. We'll have them go up and down on the sled, cheat clean, goblet press, and then goblet squat press. Wow. So we'll have them go through those movements just so they're familiar with it. So they've heard the terms, they've performed it. So when they get into class, it can still be overwhelming. I don't want them to look to someone else. And that's why we take our time with Spark. We build that solid foundation. And we let them know you're not coming in to work out. This is an instructional setting, but because I want you to feel comfortable when you come into class.
Right. That's great. So go ahead. No. So my question is kind of earlier with that ranking system. Did it take a while for the community and the members to kind of buy into that? Like, because That's definitely not the typical, fitness, gym model. I mean, that's more, yeah.
It was a tough sell at first. There was some pushback.
Yeah,
but
a little bit. Yeah.
I got to do what? You're making me do this?
Oh man, we started out with this punitive model. If you didn't wear your band, that you were doing extra swings or push-ups. But we changed things up a little bit. It wasn't going to work so well. So we're good. But what we need them to understand is that it serves a couple of functions, as well as they get the motivation to pursue.
Sure.
By the time they get to the black band, they should actually be considering certifying to become an instructor, or a lot of them will, when they're in the red, brown, and black, they'll actually express an interest in maybe teaching for us or pursuing, some type of certification. But what it does, the other thing that it does, as serving for motivation for the student, it actually lets the instructor know in the student body, because we'll have a small number, maybe anywhere from 5 up to 30 people in the room, and the only way the instructor knows who to watch and how much to watch and how to gauge, and we can scale this system up or down, is what they're wearing on their wrist. And so it's very important, and I think we're finally getting that across to our student body that how important that is. So it serves as a big indicator for the instructor on how to set up the class. If there's a majority of lower level, then we're going to really stay in those basics. But if we have a good amount of intermediate or advanced, we can scale it up, and then we just have to drop down the skill level or demand on the younger students. And so it is very useful tool for the instructor, because we have so many what we call all levels classes. Mm-hmm. And that's great, because something like a couple working out, instead of changing plates and using the same machine and having to go back and forth, a married couple or boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, can work out right next to each other, do the same workout, and they're all using different size weights. And even if one goes up in skill, one is not quite, coming along, they can scale. The instructor can scale it for them, and they can have a great workout together. We've seen that a lot, and it's a great part of our system here, which is very cool.
That's awesome.
Scalability, yeah.
Very well thought out. That's very cool. Very cool.
Good stuff.
Nice work, Charles. Nice work. Very cool, man. That's very cool. So, how long have you, had that kind of in place? Obviously, it's been refined sort of over the years, but how many years have you had the wristbands now?
I think this is probably like 6 years now. About right? Mm-hmm. About 6 years. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. Well, is there kind of anything else that you guys want to touch on before we move into rapid fire?
I'm a little nervous about this rapid fire thing, man. I don't think so. I think that we
touched on a lot of stuff. I think our other big thing is that we didn't really touch on is our body transformation contest.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's the thing that same thing, like he was saying. We were going to assert or
to teach some firefighters.
Yeah, we were going to go teach firefighters in Connecticut, actually.
Oh wow!
And we were sitting in the airport waiting for our flight, and we're just talking again. And I was like, "Hey, I think we should do a contest." And we started brainstorming on it, taking some notes, and we got on the flight. I wrote more notes and we got back and I ran with it.
Yeah.
And now we are on our 24th body transformation contest.
Wow.
So we do 12 weeks. Okay. At the beginning, they have to. So we do 3 a year.
Okay. They
initially do a weigh-in. We do body fat percentage. We take their picture, before photo. They go through and talk to us over nutrition, a quick start, go over the requirements of the contest, and then they also have to perform a performance assessment. So they have to do what we pick for them is a deadlift and push press combo.
Oh, great.
So it's a decent amount of weight, making sure that everyone is in good form, especially the newer people that are starting out. But what we use this for is to track that they're making progress, not just losing weight. And that's what I tell them. I don't need you just weak and can't even hold your purse at the end. I need you to lean out, but also see that you're getting stronger,
right,
and being able to perform even better.
We have 100% improvement on every student we have some incredible volume gains. It's a 10-minute test that they have to do once every other week, and they record their volume, and we get a number, and everyone's number always goes up. So there's not one person that goes through this program that doesn't move in a positive direction.
That's great. Hey, that's at the end of the day, it's all about getting better.
It is better is better.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's very cool. So you said this is the 24th, and you do 3 a year.
Yes.
Wow. And then, so is there, like, how do you do? Is there a winner, or how does that kind of work?
There is a winner. We do male and female. We do a first, second, and third.
Okay.
So it actually, we have a point system. So we have to track body fat percentage loss, body weight loss. We have to do inches. We have to do off of the performance. All of those factors, their compliance with turning in their food logs earns them points.
Wow.
So,
Part of the rules of the contest are minimum of 3 classes attendance that are logged in, official workout, and if they don't, they have to clear that their workout counts as a class if they miss one 3 times a week. Nutrition, their diet logs every week. They do their what we call the PR, their performance tests every other week. Then they weigh in weekly, and they do their measurements biweekly. So there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of accountability.
Commitment.
It is.
Yeah. And so Charles is on them weekly with a newsletter, and if you're not showing up for classes, you're getting a phone call, and so we have pretty good. We retain a lot of the people that start. We were having a lot of drop off, but lately our last few have been really good, and the people are staying in. So we're seeing some change there.
That's awesome. That is really cool. I mean, that's a lot of work on the coach's end.
Again,
it is.
This guy.
It's a lot. Not the same thing. It can be. But what's nice is we have a good support staff with the other instructors and everything, and everyone has their role. We have a couple other instructors, and I'm the bad guy in the whole contest. I don't pull no punches, and I let them know.
Somebody's got to be.
Right from the beginning, I let them know, hey, this is not going to be easy. We'll get you results. So I'm the one that calls them out throughout the contest and pushes them more and more. And we have the other instructors that come in and say, hey, it's okay, you're doing a good job, kind of pat them on the back and stuff.
The hugs.
And that's not. I tell them there's the other hugs and high fives. That's not me.
He's not the hug guy. I'm the hug guy.
Yeah,
but that's good, because it's the accountability factor, and any type of change, it's always uncomfortable, and there's growth required. So you need those types of individuals to move the needle in the right direction.
Yeah, they have to fill out a form in the beginning, and they have to list 3 goals. And same thing. I'm grading them like a teacher, and I'm handing them back, saying this is too vague. I can't do anything with this. Don't tell me you're gonna lose weight. I want to know exactly how many pounds. I want to know what dress size you want to be. I want to know everything. Why you're doing this. So it's
the details. I love it.
Yeah, that's where it's at. You know that.
Awesome. That's cool. And I love.
It's evolved into a very in-depth round now.
Yeah. It's very comprehensive. I also like the fact that it's not just this sort of, on the surface, when you hear transformation, you think physical appearance, aesthetics, but with everything you've kind of just shared and how that program's built, people walk out of that, they're a different person. They've committed to something, a goal for 12 weeks. They've made, a physical change, a behavioral change, habits. That's huge.
You cannot believe some of the changes we've seen with people. It's, literally amazing. And they'll come back and defend their title. And they'll do the next contest. And we just had a girl, she defended her title. She won the second one. And she's lost probably, some ridiculous amount of weight, like probably close to 50 or 60 pounds.
Wow.
And it's amazing. You'll see people that'll come in and they'll start and they'll be the most timid. They're just really shy sitting at the table. And then as the contest goes on and they start seeing how strong they are and how they're leading things, and it's like it empowers them.
Yeah, that's super rewarding.
We've had 2, 3 now. This lady, she looked like she was. I was really worried about her in the last contest, I looked at her the other day after her first contest. She's going to do it again. I said, how do you feel? You look great. And she's like, oh, I just got back from the doctor. Her diabetes numbers went down. And we've had 2 other guys that have done that. They've reduced their medication and their numbers have come back decreased. One guy's off his medication completely. Like, those are the stories that those are why we coach. Like Charles was saying, those are the rewarding things that we get to be a part of. And those are the things we really like. I mean, it's great to make people, more muscular and cut and strong, and that's great. But we both get to work with high level athletes, and that's awesome too. But man, those stories about the people who really get those life changes, those are the things that we really like. For I think for both of us, I think on that is the thing that keeps us really sparked on this.
Yeah, totally. That's fantastic. Awesome job, guys. Very cool. Very cool. All right, you guys ready for the rapid fire?
All right.
All right. You'll like these. These are good. These are fun questions. I ask all the guests these, and these are just kind of so the audience can get to know you a little bit better. So we'll kick things off. We'll start with Charles. All right. So Charles, given all of the knowledge that you've accumulated and all the experience you've had in your life up to this point, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself 15 years ago?
I would say lose the ego. Go in and listen to your body. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Do what's best for you and your goals.
Awesome.
That's
excellent. All right, Zar. Same question.
Oh, same question. 15 years ago. Let's see. I would say take your recovery more seriously and your hydration more seriously, and do not abandon the mobility that you've worked on, and continue to work mobility, and flexibility. Excellent. So I would say rest, recovery, hydration, and work stretching and mobility.
Awesome. Yeah. Zar, we'll start this one with you. If you had to pick one, what's your favorite strength training exercise?
One. I'm going to go with the get up.
All right.
Yeah.
Charles?
Wow. I would say any version of the squat.
Awesome.
I like the squat because so many people don't like it.
The squat's fun, man. Look,
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Okay, this is a great question for both of you. So, coming back to, again, all the knowledge you've accumulated, the experience, how has your training changed today, present day, compared to 15 years ago?
Oh, man. You want to go first? Okay.
It is total night and day. I didn't do any mobility, stretching. I was in a ton of pain. Now I do every aspect. There's not one thing that gets neglected. Before I was single factor. That was it. I wanted to lift heavy, get bigger. And that was the focus. Now I want to be as balanced and move as well as I can and feel good with it. So it's a big shift of just that same thing, listening to my body of what I need for that day, that week, what I need to leave out.
Oh, I like that. What you need to leave out.
There's a time to where I'll tell people, and we have some clients that still have that bodybuilding mentality. They come in and it takes a while. There's a whole paradigm shift that has to happen here. But they still have loved the curls, or they love the bench press, or they love if they don't do it for a couple of days, they're freaking out.
Right.
And I'm like, we need to get things balanced. I'm like, I was like, your strength isn't going to go anywhere. You probably should leave that alone for even a while. Mm-hmm. And there was a time, and I tell them back to my stuff, and where I didn't press for 6 weeks, just because one of my shoulders just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was injured, but I don't know what was going on. And I was trying to work through it. And I said, I couldn't find a press variation, whether it was bands, whether it was kettlebell, whether it was barbell. I tried all kinds of things, and I would test it. It just didn't feel right. And you know what? I said, I'm just going to give it a break. And that was one of the times where I actually gained so much more in my hip mobility, my other things that I was working on, because I just totally forgot that. I left it alone, left it out of the program completely. When I came back, my press was still solid. Didn't have any injuries. I just needed to create some space, landed up opening everything up. It felt better. And so, but there's a lot of things that people aren't willing to let go.
Yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing that. Zar.
So I went from that bodybuilding model to gain strength and got size, because that was about the only model that we had around at the time. Meeting Pavel and some of the other coaches and founders of systems that I've met along the way have really changed the way I've approached the training. Again, Charles, said it best. Leaving some stuff out it's okay. It's okay. It's okay not to do some things, and you might actually come back and be better at it. So I guess my big thing is the little things mean a lot. That's the attention to detail, monitoring and pursuing perfection in movement is super huge. You don't always have to, max out. You don't have to go near max. You can train smart. I'm a bit older than he is, so I train in a different. My training's even gone into more of a let's train for longevity. So that's kind of the thing that I try to pass on to people, is that you want to use a training model that's smart, safe. It's going to move you in the positive direction. You don't want to continue to, move in a direction that's going to, peak out because of an injury, because you're going so hard that you injure yourself. If in fact you do injure yourself, it's nice, because what you're saying, the knowledge and things that I've accumulated on the years, is that because you're injured in one area does not give you, free reign to sit on the couch for 6 weeks until it recovers. There's active ways to pursue your rehabilitation while working around that injury. Because your shoulder's tweaky does not mean, your legs are fine. So you can train other things, you train smart, and you can help yourself actively through those times. So it's just a smarter, well-rounded approach to training.
Longevity and
breathing, recovery, rest, nutrition, those things are a bigger part of things for me now.
Awesome. So you kind of touched on it right there. So the next question is, what injury have you had? And if you have one, how did that injury affect your training in your life?
Yeah, no, I haven't, knock on wood, I've been really, really healthy and done things to where I can walk away from lifts right away. If it doesn't feel good, I'll make a couple adjustments and I'm fine writing it off. There's some things we'll do a lot of deadlift stuff, and sometimes I didn't activate things properly or didn't do a thorough enough warm up for myself, and it didn't feel right. But I'll walk away. I'm like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. My wife, whoever I'm training with, they'll keep going, and it's that the ego's gone. Come on, no, have at it. You guys keep going. So I'll do what I need to do and adjust my training accordingly. But it doesn't seem like anything slows down. There's enough variations for every movement. I can still hit that pattern in another way, so my training won't skip a. That's one thing. No matter what's going on, I can find a variation. I can work my correctives in with that. Plus, I can still keep that pattern trained without pain.
Side question for you, just based on what you shared, both of you. So, taking into the mindset of being a sustainable longevity type of an approach, and kind of leaving your ego at the door, so really listening to your body, is that something that was it a singular event? Was it just sort of experience and age over time where you kind of just got to a point where you're like, I'd rather feel good and listen to my body versus like pushing through? Like, what was it for you guys?
I think it's a combination. I went through some serious injuries from I got hit by a drunk driver about coming up on 5 years ago, which gave me some neck, some low back, some bilateral knee stuff, meniscus, and bilateral labrums. So I was faced with a lot, and I went through, it was, I'm thankful for it because I got better for it. I had to use the knowledge that I've gained. I had to consult, I asked Pavel, I asked him, Dr. Eric Cobb, Gray Cook, Brett Jones, a lot of these people, Charles, and some other people, to get myself back, but using a smart approach to training, not moving into pain or just to the edge of pain, so that, when I had to train and use a, embarrassingly small bell, I just had to do what I had to do. And so it became, like Charles said, you got to leave your ego. You got to check that thing out, or you're headed for an injury, almost guaranteed. And there's no reason for it. The thing that you notice when you're training here, you're so focused on your own stuff. You're not noticing what bells other people are using, nor do you care, because if you know what we're doing, you know that somebody that's using a smaller bell probably has something going on. And so it's not a big deal, honestly, to step back and do the things you need to do to recover. And I can say, honestly, with, at this stage right now, I'm moving more times than not pain-free with all the things in the systems that we use, the very things that we teach, I use to get myself back. Again, having guys like Charles, I'm like, hey, can you look at my squat, please? You have good eyes on you with good coaches, making those small, observations, and taking the information, all that knowledge, like you're saying, that we've accumulated over the years, and applying it to ourselves is probably one of the best models we can use to share with our students in our program. So
absolutely. Thank you both for sharing that. What's one thing that you feel that high school athletes should be doing more of to complement their training and their health?
You want to go? I'll go.
Go ahead.
I say core stability work and mobility work. I've seen a ton of high school athletes. They might be higher level skill in their athletic ability, but they can't touch their toes, right? Or they can't make some general movements. So their general base of fitness is lacking. So their core stability and joint mobility and flexibility. Honestly, some of these kids in basic movement patterns do not move well. They can do their skill for their activity, but I think in the bigger picture, if we were to do an FMS movement screen on them, they would score low, which would predict an injury. And a lot of times those kids and I think that's why we're getting the numbers of high school or youth athlete injuries that we're getting, is the lack of core stability and flexibility.
Charles, anything to add?
I would go core, same thing, balance, and then also tendon and ligament strength.
Ooh, how would you recommend improving or addressing that?
That would be with isometrics, and then I would add in a lot of band work.
Okay, awesome. Next question: what's your best tip to improve recovery post-training session?
You're better at it than I am.
Depends on how I would want someone to have a little bit of replenish some of the glycogen stores for what they did, the electrolytes, minerals, just rehydrate, listen to their body. It's depending on what their goals are. If someone's still trying to lean out, I'm not going to have them just because they're in this so-called anabolic window, they're not going to waste away if they don't have some protein. It's great if they do get some aminos and some stuff in there, great. But it's all dependent on goals. My first thing is that they rehydrate and get minerals and electrolytes loaded back in. That's going to be first and foremost. And then we would add in some aminos or some protein.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. A lot of times with the people that we work with, the tactical folks, They do long shift work, and
Mm-hmm.
they forget those things. I mean, it's very strange that you would forget to drink water, but it happens all the time. When people go from call to call to call to call, they forget to drink water. They forget to eat. So the simple things, like, again, those little things mean a lot. So I post, like Charles is on the money. Rehydrate, get your electrolytes back in balance, and then you can address, what do I need? Do I need protein? Do I need food? Do I need rest? Do I need to just go to sleep? Those are the, the recovery. Or do I need to just have a nice sit down, deep breathing, get my head back on straight? And that a lot of times is the key to recovering, because then you can address the rest of your week or your days off in a rational way. So
excellent advice from both of you. All right, we got 3 more, but these are all non-training related. These are just fun ones. All right, so what's your favorite meal?
Mine is a steak and a good beer.
I'm gonna go with steak as well. A good, nicely grilled steak.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, love it. What's one book everyone should read? It could be any genre. It doesn't have to be training related. It could be any genre.
Gosh, there's a lot. Movement by Gray Cook.
Right
Athletic movement. Yeah.
Let's see. Anything by Jim Rohn.
Oh, okay. Did you say Jim Rohn or Rohn?
Jim Rohn.
Okay. R-O-N-E?
R-O-H-N.
Oh, R-O-H-N. Okay, I'll have to check him out. Awesome. All right, final question. Who have you studied or do you continue to study in your career to improve and get better?
Can you repeat that? Cut out a little bit.
Sure. Who do you study or have you studied in your career to improve and get better?
Jeez, there's so many. I would say some of the biggest that had the biggest impact is Pavel, Dr. Eric Cobb, Brett Jones. We have
Gray Cook.
Is it? There's, jeez. Those would probably say, I would say those are the biggest with even Stuart McGill. All of, dang, that's just so many. But I also study who I don't like.
Right.
What I don't agree with. Because I want the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing of what I don't want to do.
Could you give me an example? Would you mind sharing?
I don't want to name them.
Okay,
I don't want to give them any credit. Yeah, I don't want to, because there's certain people that I do follow that I'll notice certain things, and I'll reference a little bit, just business wise. Even you'll see a good site, and you'll see a bad site.
Right.
I do want to do this, and that's the same thing. I just want to. That's just the way my mind thinks. May not be the way for everyone else to do it, but I'll just notice things, and that's my way in seeing corrections as well.
Awesome. That's a good list right there. Very cool. All right, guys. Well, you're off the hook now. That's the end of the rapid fire. So I've had a blast over the last 70 minutes or so sitting down with you both.
I have one more book.
Okay.
One more book. I would say Power to the People by Pavel. That is a great place. That's where I started with this whole thing. It's Power to the People.
Nice. Going back to the source.
Old school, yeah.
Right on. Just hang on the line. Let me give you a proper goodbye off air.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Leo Training Podcast. Subscribe and get even more expert training tips at www.leotraining.io.